Good day, my little teacups. Would you like to join me on a... list? Yes, I know this might sound crazy to do for a New Year's special, but I thought on this special occasion, and to help mark the recent passing of our 1,000 subscriber milestone, that I would share with you my top 12 video games. Why top 12? Because I like to go one step beyond. The man who goes one step beyond. Right, well, with that shameless rip-off aside, I'm going to mention that whilst I will be trying to avoid spoilers where possible, there are unavoidably going to be some as we're going along, especially in the later parts where we get into some pretty deep spoilers. Yeah. Also, most of the time I'm going to be relating these to my own experiences, and less about the games from a technical perspective. This is mainly about me just sharing my favourites with all of you. Alright? Well, with that out of the way, let's begin. Number 12. So, starting off our list, we have Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King, or as it actually just says on my box, Dragon Quest, Journey of the Cursed King. I had no idea there were other Dragon Quest games until actually looking this up. So, learn something every day, don't you? This was one of the first RPGs I really got into, and by that I mean I loved the hell out of this game. I must have completed it like 4 times. I love trying out new builds for my party, new permutations of the skills, trying to get all the secrets. I even wrote my own guidebook for this game, if you can believe that. Well, for the crafting at least. If you can imagine this, once upon a time, my young self sat with a notebook on his knee, testing every single alchemy recipe he could imagine and writing down all the ones that worked. Well, I wasn't going to just Google it, that would be cheating. Number 11. Metro 2033. Oh, Metro. What to say about Metro? The amazing, deep setting, no pun intended. The questions of humanity, the satisfying gunplay, survival aspects, trying to scrounge for ammo in the post-apocalypse. All this was not what I was expecting when I picked up what looked like a solid shooter with good reviews. And let's not even get started on the mutants. There came a moment when I was about to enter a doorway to a tunnel cavern place, and I heard the most monstrous roar I've ever heard. It was the thing of my nightmares. And let me tell you, I checked my ammo, and with 2 shots left, I put my best foot forward and noped the fuck on out of there. Hell no was I going in there, I could die. I wish I could say the sequel was as brilliant, but sadly to me the shift in focus from strange mutants to, well, boring old humans just kind of took the life out of it for me. But it is still a fantastic game series. It's just satisfying. It's one of the best survival first-person shooter experiences I've ever played, and I would recommend it to anyone to hell and back. Number 10. Bayonetta. Bayonetta is without question one of the craziest games I've ever played from whatever angle you can try to look at it from. Starting with a story that makes no sense, and to the untrained observer, namely me, absolutely 0 sense, things just get weirder from there. It's easily got one of the best and most creative thematic monster designs I've ever seen in such a stylized video game. I'll tell you what, I'll give it that. It is hard to make creative angel design monsters. And the end boss concept is only describable by drawing inspiration from a Voltaire album title. It is like riding a black unicorn down the side of an erupting volcano as you drink from an enameled golden chalice filled with the laughter of small children. The characters are just engaging even when the plot seems to exist in a separate dimension. Actually, that might be a literal version of what the plot does, I'm not even sure. There's so many weird things going on with time and dimension, I don't even know. But while I'm here, and I'm sure at least one person is curious, I'm going to address the skin-tight black-clad elephant in the room. I am not going to be talking about how Bayonetta is attractive or any of that malarkey, because, frankly, to me, she isn't. But with that said, I can respect that as a character choice, she is flaunting that attitude for everything it's worth, and all power to her for that. Especially since I can vouch, walking in heels is bloody hard. So I can't even imagine what walking in guns is like, good lord. Number 9. Hearthstone. Simple, yet effective. I love me some Hearthstone, what can I say? I'm too stupid for Magic the Gathering, and I played World of Warcraft obsessively in the way back when. Having an almost free way to stay connected is lovely, and copying Total Biscuit's sillier gimmick decks gives me no end of joy. I just wish I was better at it. Maybe someday I'll even stream it for you all if I somehow get a better connection, and get better at the game. Number 8. Too Human. Now, if you've heard of this one, I'll be amazed. Too Human was a third-person RPG with one of the strangest combat mechanics. That is, it attacked with the right thumbstick. Yeah, that's the one normally associated with the camera. And there was little to no camera control. Putting your trust in the AI camera was an adventure into madness at best, but I can't deny that the setting and most of all the concepts for techifying Norse mythology were so enticing that I played this game for ages. There were so many build types with the different classes, and especially when you put in the co-op as a factor, and the dialogue is so wonderfully cringeworthy and atrocious that I am still using it as running gags with my best mate to this very day. Bastard wolf! All in all, a strange but solid good loot crawler game. Just wish it had more levels than 4. Number 7. Lost Odyssey. Oh god, the feels! Why, game, why? This was just beautiful. I'm a sucker for good stories, and this RPG had it in spades. It also had content in spades. I mean, I seem to remember this mammoth spanned like 3 discs? In the age of the Xbox 360, too. As an immortal with amnesia, you are trying to piece together your past and your future. And yeah, the characters are mostly retreads of Final Fantasy ones, but this game, right here, achieved something no Final Fantasy game could do for me. It made me wail like a baby and fight like a lion in almost the same breath. I really can't spoil it, but I absolutely hated the antagonist in this. Not because he was especially good, but for the things he'd done and the effects it had on the main party, who I had genuinely got an empathic relationship with, and that was because of awesome voice acting and some fantastic animation. The only game that came even close to getting me this invested in the characters afterwards was Wolf Among Us, but that's a story for a whole other day. Number 6. Freedom Force. Okay, if you knew about Too Human, mad props if you somehow know about this one. It's pretty much the most obscure game I own. Freedom Force was a completely tongue-in-cheek, balls-to-the-wall lampooning of the superhero genre. Interesting, since at the time there wasn't really a superhero genre to lampoon. I mean, yeah, we had the comics, and we had cartoons, and a bit of fandom, but it was nowhere near as massive as it is today. So quite a lot like the movie Mystery Men in that regard, actually. Anyway, it was a top-down strategy RPG-like thing. You know I suck at these descriptions. Where you controlled a party of superheroes saving the world. That's the important bit. Wonderfully hammy setting, characters, and some beautiful superhero culture nods. I adored this game growing up, especially the fact that you could create your own heroes using any character model from the game, give them pretty much whatever powers you wanted, within reason, and then add them to the party. It was amazing! And what shocked me even harder was the sequel, Freedom Force vs. the Third Reich, which is tied in the same slot as this, managed to take all of that to a completely different level of silly by adding in time travel to the Second World War. And at the same time as this, simultaneously visited one of the more genuine and heartfelt character arcs from the first game, and continued it, ripping the heartstrings asunder all over again. Possibly worse, actually. I have no idea how this game achieved what it did, but I love it. Number 5. The Stanley Parable. It was a toss-up whether to put old Stan here or the Beginner's Guide. And whilst I don't deny that the Beginner's Guide raised some wrenching questions for me as to how I view myself, with both what my work on and off of YouTube means to me, and why we all do the things we do, Stanley Parable to me is the winner of the two. Because both tried to tell you a message, right? But Beginner's Guide might as well be an interactive movie. It just shows you what happens in a string of events, with games just being the framework media, if you understand me. Stanley Parable utilizes the player agency to the full for telling its story and message. This game is just a fucking work of art. There, I've said it now. It's called witty dialogue, the amazing Kevin Brighting voice acting. He's one of the inspirations for OverEnglishMan, if you didn't notice. And raises questions about the nature of games, the narrative, and the player themselves. And it's all done mostly through the actions of the player, not just being told what to see and feel. It's just a beauty to behold. And I'm kind of worried that in time, Beginner's Guide is just gonna slip from my mind, but I know Stanley Parable will always remain. Number 4. Halo 3 ODST. Well, if this one doesn't cause some questions in the comments, I have no idea what will. Especially since Bayonetta's already on this list. So, just about everybody knows Halo, right? We can all agree on that? Cool. So then the question becomes, why ODST? Wasn't that one of the worst received games? Well, yes, as far as I've heard, it was. Though, to be honest, I can see why. ODST isn't a Halo game in what a Halo game normally stands for. You aren't the chief, for one thing. You aren't great and all-powerful, just mowing through hordes of aliens with just your fists for company. You're one random soldier on a drop gone wrong. It's the dead of night in an occupied city, and you have to find your crew. This is what you're given at the start of the game. Pretty heavy stuff. And after that, it's basically a Halo film noir, piecing together what's happened from... okay. Okay, I've got to admit it, at sometimes some pretty bloody obscure clues, and I've no idea how he's getting this from, but yeah. Overall, it was a damn impressive game, okay? And it was made even better by the cast, most of whom are from Firefly, I can't help but notice. Wonder if someone was a fan. And anyway, the fact that it's not just a tale of one man against the odds, but it's about a team. I mean, this for me was really rammed home when 3 of the group just throw themselves at a brute chieftain to save their friend. The movements had weight, the characters were just a few good men and 1 woman, and possibly 1 alien, in the right place at totally the wrong time. And okay, the noir feel kind of gave way to action towards the climax, but it's a Halo game. And the journey to that point made it more than worth it. So that's why I believe it deserves the number 4 spot. Number 3. Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 tied for place. This is going to be a short one. I'm not really sure what to say. It's Dark Souls and I love it. They're tied because I love them equally for different reasons. For start, 2 ran far better than 1 for me, with much more reasonable windows for parrying and etc. And can we just agree that the jump button should always have been separated from the run button? Right. But in the end, Dark Souls 1 has the better story, the better monsters, and oh god, the level design. Well, just go watch Jordan Underneath's video on 1 level of it and you'll understand why I love these games so much, okay? Number 2. The Darkness 2. Pure, satisfying carnage-made game form. A Mafia King, demonic overlord possession, cool art style, fantastic gunplay, brutality to die for. That's about all I can say. Number 1. Oh, hold on. I've put in the wrong CD. Ah, yes. You were expecting Undertale, weren't you? Well, that would be too easy, and I think a little too recent, though it is a fantastic game. So in its place, I present the Undertale of its own day, Shadow of the Colossus. Oh boy, this is a big one. This game had it all, as far as I'm concerned. A gorgeous soundtrack, level design, monster design, and most of all, a truly beautiful, well-told story. This was the first game I had ever encountered that really knew how to make a hard-hitting game. Emphasis there on the game part. See, a lot of heavy hitters that I see, they'll try and ape films or TV. Shadow of the Colossus doesn't bother. It just knows that games live and die on the player's agency in the narrative. So what's it do? It makes you hate yourself for even playing it, by simply starting the damn thing. If you know anything about the story, you know you're setting your poor misguided character on the worst possible path. And if you don't know what you're doing as you play it, well, it hits you with a realization bat harder than anything I have ever felt in a video game. And that's probably because it's the first time it happened to me, but shut up, we're moving on. You see, it's pretty common in games, especially fantasy games, to find a character heroically venturing in some forbidden or forgotten part of the land in search of a MacGuffin to move the plot on, and they're praised for whatever they do there, right? On the flip side, I find it very rare to come across a game that, when you do this, treats you as the villain. You are the invader. You're the one who stole a sacred sword. You were the one who went in here, and you are the one hunting and killing these innocent creatures who, frankly, never even wanted anything to do with you. Mostly they only attack in self-defense, either of their bodies or just generally of their homes. They never hunted you across the land. They didn't invade your part of the world. And why are you doing all this? To resurrect the protagonist's dead girl in tow. A maiden sacrificed over her cursed destiny, which we'll explain in a second, but also kind of assumed to possibly be a love interest, since that's the usual setup. At the end of the day, it's a selfish act. An understandable one? Fuck yes! But selfish nonetheless. And we, as the player, have even less good reason to do this. I mean, we don't know the girl. We don't even know the hero. We always have a choice. We could just choose not to play when we realize that what we're doing is a bad move. But we choose to kill these beasts because we want to see if we can. They're big, imposing, usually, targets. We want the kudos for their destruction, and we want to see our happy ending. And in the name of this, we kill the beasts. We unleash hell through our agency. And then it's down to other characters to clean up the mess. But my love for this game can be explained in the crowning glory moment for this. What made me really understand why agency in video games matters. This moment. Looks stupid, right? Having become the vessel for a god, sealed away in the Colossi, blah 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 blah, the monks attempt to seal you away. And in a cutscene, they create a vortex to drag you into banishment. What does the game do here? It lets you play what happens next. It lets you struggle against that pull. You jump, you're pushing, you're crawling, dragging yourself forwards because you think you can still reach the ending that you want. The one you've worked so hard for. The one that somehow you can still win. Because it's letting you play this part. Therefore, you must be able to win, right? This tiny, seemingly insignificant scene is the final merging of the player and the player character for me. You are them at this moment. You're fighting with every ounce of your being to reach the goal you came here for. You're fighting to still win. And it all ends when you give up. You can keep jumping there for hours. I mean, I've done it myself. I even made it to the girl at the altar once. But you will always keep being dragged back. It drains all the fight out of you. Even if you don't think it does. Even if you're just going with it because, well, there's no way to win, so what's the point? That's still you giving in. This gorgeous game forces you to choose to give up, as the alternative is just to hop and crawl for all time. When you give up, so does the character. There's no fight left in either of you, and as you tumble into the vortex, it happens in a cutscene. That whole section could have happened in a cutscene, with big swelling music as Wander is dragged from his goal, and the players would have claimed that there was some way out, and they would have found it if it was just them doing it. Using that agency proves you can't. And thus, to me, it earns the #1 spot. That moment would have been enough, but as the finale of an already intensely brilliant game, that was just the peak. And there you have it, audience. My top 12 games. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I know it's not exactly the usual fare, but there's no harm in branching out, is there? I mean, I'm not used to doing more scripted videos, but hey, it's worth a shot. And, of course, now having never done, or, well, actually even considered one of these till about 5 minutes ago, I have no idea how to end this video. Sorry that my voice doesn't sound the usual. It's about 5 in the morning. I just kind of got filled with inspiration and had to write and record this. Yeah, I suppose that's it. Cue the end card. Go! Thank you very much for watching, audience. I have been the OverEnglishMan. This has been a top 12 favorite games list. Yes, not my usual, but hey, well, it's worth branching out, isn't it? Now, please never forget to take a moment to like the video, to comment, to subscribe, and most importantly, check out some of these beautiful people listed here. Have a fantastic new year. Yes, I know I say that a lot. Love you all, and farewell.